that, like, in her particular case, it's easy. She wants to be a good person. Ooh, is it time to start? Ah, yes, I can see that.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the Save Ancient Studies Alliance Archeo Gaming live stream. I'm Julie Levy, and I will be streaming today with uh, my friend and fellow archaeology enthusiast slash professional, Kieran Acquisto. We are currently streaming Outer Wilds. We will be streaming this. We started last week. We'll be doing it next week as well. And I know that Madigan is also streaming um, Ghosts of Tsushima next month, so keep your eye out for that. So, who is SASA? We are the Save Ancient Studies Alliance. We work to promote the study of the ancient world and engagement with our human deeper pasts. We build grassroots movement through outreach, collaboration, accessibility, and public scholarship, and we work towards our goal of inspiring a wide, inclusive community of scholars, learners, and students. You can find us all over the internet on all these social media sites and also on Blue Sky. And of course, you can go to our website, saveancientstudies.org, and I highly recommend that you do. We have a lot of cool programming. Um, we just opened our Inspire Campaigns fan fiction writing competition, so do check that out if you are interested. And coming up in July will be our virtual conference, which is completely free and open to the public. This year's theme is Medicine in the Ancient World. We do have a few rules here at our SASA Live events. Please be kind and respectful. Listen and ask thoughtful questions throughout the event. Please be patient with the technology and those ministering it. Uh, SASA's Archeo Gaming Live is streamed on Twitch, and recordings will be posted on the YouTube channel shortly after the event, so you can join in either live or in the or watch along afterwards. And especially true for this particular game that we are playing. We are going to be playing through, and there will be spoilers. So if you want to stay unspoiled, or if you want to start at the beginning, maybe go back and watch the first one, or play it on your own first. We do ask that if you like what we do, please subscribe. You can join us on Twitch. You can sign up for the Oracle newsletter. There are other programming that happen all year long. Along with what I said, there are book clubs and reading groups and all sorts of things happening. And you could become a SASA member with a small recurring donation for as little as $3 a month. You can help us to save ancient studies. You can also subscribe here, of course, for free, just to follow along with Archeo Gaming. And who would blame you? Thank you so much for joining us, and let's get on with the show. All right. There we go. Everybody should be visible now. So, hello again, just to say hi. I am Julie Levy, the SASA Managing Director, and I will be playing Outer Wilds. Aside from last week's episode where I uh, encountered this game for the first time, I am completely unspoiled, and so this should be fun. Kiernan, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Kiernan Acquisto. I'm here to provide some insight and expertise into archaeology in this game. I do have a background in archaeological inquiry and a doctorate in the history of art and architecture, specializing in the art of the ancient Eastern Mediterranean. Unlike Julie, I have had this game completely spoiled. I do know what the final ending will be. And so I also have that added context as she navigates through the game. I am in the stream and also looking at the chat, so feel free to ask questions. And we'll be we'll be reacting to the game and also talking a little bit more about archaeology and what it means today.
Yeah, just to reiterate, please feel free to say hi in chat. We'd love to hear from you. Um, and uh, just to give a summary for anybody catching up on our particular playthrough, so this is where the spoilers start, if anybody is worried about that. So last time, uh, we did start out on our home world of Timberhearth. We, learned about the sort of janky patched together world that we lived in, mostly made of the local timber, as one might expect from that name, um, up to and including the spaceships, which are mostly wooden. Don't think too hard about how that works. Um, the physics is pretty realistic. So our character is a Hearthian who has just taken off on their very first shuttle to go explore the solar system. And uh, we've also learned a bit about the Nomai, a precursor civilization that seems to have built ruins on every single possible surface in the solar system. They were clearly a very different species, had some kind of thing going on. We don't know where they came from, we don't know what they were doing here, but they aren't around anymore. And so we went off into space. We went to the moon, where there's a little outpost. We explored some ruins on the moon, found a neat little Nomai ruin that would focus on different planets, but was clearly having trouble focusing on this particular star-shaped object. We read some Nomai writing. We have a translator on us, which is very exciting. Uh, and discovered that that thing is called the Eye, and they were trying to set up some kind of detector for it. And then, as we were sort of wrapping up our experiments on the moon, the sun exploded, and we woke up back on our planet. So that's where we are today, and that is good enough to get going with. The physics of movement are very realistic. The physics of the solar system are very not. It's kind of fun.
They can't do everything. The game has to run.
So we get this wake up prompt back where we started before. See that thing dissolving in space, which we don't yet have context for. It looks like we are looking at the water planet.
Giant steep.
So we start up here. So let's see what happens if we actually say, did I just die? But that's a negative on being deceased. Alright, let's go. Let's take this little spaceship and figure out what is going on. Wait, this isn't the thing I was going to look at. I was going to look at the ship log. Alright, so we actually have a lot more info than we did the last time that we were looking here. So we can see where we've visited and where we haven't, even though so we can see Adelrock, which is our moon. Even though we technically in this version of events have not been there, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, whatever time loop that you're stuck in, and I invite you to speculate as to the mechanics and reasons for that. Luckily, the ship systems are too, whether or not that makes sense, because you do need something to help you remember where you've been and the clues that you've accessed. The mechanics of this game, in terms of game play and narrative, are clue finding, on top of movement based mechanics. It would be a little bit difficult to continue the game without this, I think.
Yeah. So we did find that.
Yeah, the Nomai Observatory, which is also a wayfinding device. And we know too that it didn't work, right? And so that they were going to try again with more advanced tech. We learned that through the writing.
So we've been directed towards the South Pole. Now, why is that rumor still green? This one. There's more to explore here. Is there? Interesting. And apparently, I should try and pick up that harmonica signal. Which I can do from here. So maybe let's go back down. Can we go back down? Oh, yeah.
Yes, for those just joining us, you are the newest astronaut, I suppose, in Outer Wilds Ventures, but you do have colleagues who are currently stationed on the various bodies in your solar system. You can hear them. So you have a device that allows you to pick up acoustic signals from the planets, and that includes the music made by your compatriots, who each have their own instrument.
There's somebody on Giant's Deep. So I guess that we can't actually hear that. Whatever that is, it's moving pretty fast from here.
Esther?
That'll be the whistling guy, yeah?
Yeah, he's on the Adelrock.
So now, like, did I actually find this harmonica signal? Doesn't look like it. Aha. So, I guess if I go back to Adelrock, I'll be able to find that signal, maybe. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. Oh. Cool. I'm in space. Alright. So, where am I headed today? That's the twins, right? Oh, uh-oh. Whoa. Was not expecting that.
Uh-oh.
I apparently had not fully reached orbit.
That's okay.
It's
Let's
okay.
restart.
This is what happens when we die.
And that thing you first see is a Nomai mask. The Nomai have a very distinctive art style. That's immediately
Very,
apparent in their
very
artifacts and runes.
angular and elegant and in patterns of 3 because they have 3 eyes. Why is my... Hold on a second. Well, that's strange. That's very strange. I don't know why it's doing that. Sorry about that. I don't think that I have the technical expertise to fiddle with it right now. But hopefully you can still see what's going on.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, so this time try not to die. Alright. Woo. There's
So it is a little
Adelrock.
bit laggy.
So we are in space. Try not to run into anything unnecessarily. So I could go back to Adelrock, or I could head to Giants Deep. Oof. And then, of course, there's... Oh, what's that? Let's see if we can figure out what that is. I think I just got knocked sideways by something in space, but okay.
A peril of navigating space. For sure.
Yeah.
Julie, I will say that watching the stream, it is skipping quite a lot. It's very laggy.
That's strange. I'd rather not stop the stream, but maybe I need to. Alright, interloper. What's your deal?
Okay, it's running much more smoothly now.
Okay. I have an autopilot. That's real convenient.
So, not to spoil anything, but the interloper is DLC content.
Oh.
If that influences your decision to go there right now.
Uh, well, I don't think I'm getting there right now. So,
Hmm.
alright, what are you? That's not there. Timber Hearth, that's not what I want. Gosh. Here it is. Not not easy to navigate space. What are you? Arg. Okay, those are the twins. There we go.
So perhaps as we're careening around the universe, it's a good time to talk about what exactly we're doing in game. Um, so we're a member of Timberhearth Expeditions. Like, what is their aim? What are we trying to do?
I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, so far it seems like they're a scientific expedition corporation.
Hmm.
Like, they are. Yeah, that worked.
Yeah, and so I mean, in case people didn't know, it did say it at the head of the stream. Um, the base game and the DLC content are sold as
I
a
forgot to
bundle.
suit up.
I was like, oh no.
I forgot. That's funny. Um, I've gotten cavalier about dying already.
Well, there are no stakes, so it's a mild inconvenience at best. But yeah, so this game bundle is sold as like the archaeologist edition. So we're being prompted to think of this as an archaeological expedition by marketing, at least.
And certainly the Hearthians seem to think of it as a scientific exploration, if nothing else.
Mhm.
Uh,
And we are prompted too by a museum of science and culture, if you will.
mhm. It's fairly
Um,
small, but it's pretty good for the size of Hearthian of Timber Hearth, honestly. That's Brittle Hollow. Okay, let's try this again. Now with more suit. Well, I didn't damage me. I didn't damage the lander. Let's actually remember to suit up this time. Okay, we are back on the moon, and is a path up somewhere. Did I, like, land in it? Goodness. Feel free to talk while I'm failing to navigate. um,
Sure.
we were discussing the nature of these expeditions. Is it how scientific is it? How archaeological is it within that? Archaeology is, of course, scientific, not that everybody thinks of it that way.
Right. And so, what if we are doing archaeological inquiry? And it seems like we are. We don't really have any other remit here about, geology, the status of the solar system, our star. It does seem to be specific concern about the Nomai, and
Oh,
what they were doing.
we have Chert's research notes. That's exciting.
Ah, thanks, Chert.
This is an old crater. The neat thing here is that the composition of the samples I took from the impact site matches the composition of the ice on the outskirts of Dark Bramble. Posit the Adelrock was hit with a piece of planet. It used to be where Dark Bramble now lies. Follow up on it, maybe there are more fragments of the old planet Dark Bramble destroyed on other astral bodies in the solar system. So,
Some geology. Nice.
very nice. And that explains the ice crystals, which I had been kind of wondering about. Back. Stuck. Okay. I would really like to find my way back out of this crater. I know I can. I think, in fact, I did land on the path, which is actually slightly inconvenient. Whoa. This way, please. There we go. Okay.
So we're looking for clues about history in the solar system of and in, centered on the Nomai. And I guess, in a way, that is archaeology. The scientific parts, in terms of our own gameplay, so far have been limited. So, what sorts of archaeological inquiry are we doing? Here we are at our wayfinding celestial map orrery device.
Don't mind me just refueling my oxygen.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a recording
Um,
here? Oh, I think we played this last time. Some kind of know my locator. Trying to find something, which we found out is the eye. Something about South Pole of Brittle Hollow. And no word on whose recording that is. I don't remember if we actually found that last time. I don't have a great sense of where I am on the moon at any given time. It's all just a rock. But I think I'm heading north. That's where the signal was best, if I recall.
yeah, you do have the spherical map.
Yes. Which I will, I'm sure, eventually learn how to use properly.
You are heading north.
I am attempting to head north. Okay. So here's where we were last time, when the sun exploded. And if I can do this in Slightly fewer hops this time. That would be good. Dang it. So we are finding ruins and we are surveying them and we are reading their writing, which we are the first person from Timberhearth to be able to take this translator tool and go do. So,
Yeah, easy translation. I think survey is the operative word here. Um, if we're doing anything archaeological, it's an archaeological survey, um, which is, of course, a distinct step from archaeological excavation and usually the precursor step. You have to know where, with pretty high specificity, where exactly you're going to put down a trench. And so you've done some research beforehand in the field. We also have remote sensing devices, a few different ones. We're using one now.
so somewhere, getting this harmonica signal. I think it's the other side of the planet from where we are right now. It's a little bit hard to tell. Mostly because I haven't used this equipment much.
So we have sonar remote sensing.
So, where did it go? It seems like it's inside the crater up here. And there is smoke coming out of it. So, that seems like a pretty good place for us to try and head. Oops. Assuming we have time. Alright. Ship is south somewhere. Wah. Oh. Thump. How am I gonna get in there? Alright. We made it. Alright. Let's check out the log. So that still wasn't... Oh no, the harmonica signal is saying that it's... Ah, that's weird. I don't quite understand the way they've done that. But let's put the suit back this side. See if we have time to... oh right. There we go. We're trying to hit a specific part of the world, which is... Whoa! Okay, that's gonna hurt. Yep. Too much. Too much. Not able to reverse thrust fast enough. But hey, now I have time to go just wander around the surface of the planet, assuming I can get up there. That's a slightly different direction than it was before.
Hmm.
So there doesn't seem to be a way out from this crater. Am I right about that? Other than the shuttle? Like, there's just not a path up to the surface level.
Mm-mm.
So, in we go. And down we go. So here's a question. Do I actually need my suit on Timberhearth? I have no idea. I'm gonna try it without.
Like, if it's only in the crater with the trees.
You never know. So that's the main crater. I don't have my map because I don't have my suit on. So, but I can see that smoke coming up over here. Of course, I might get stuck there. Oh, what's this? There's like an actual river? Neat. Doesn't look very deep. Of course, there's also the question of getting down into here without dying. I should maybe have brought my suit. Oh. Oh, for half a second I thought I'd lived. I was just trying to jump down one ledge, but gravity, not what I think it is. I wonder if most people die this often, or if it's just me being klutzy.
I think that there are probably more cautious gameplay styles for sure. As a reminder, too, there are no my ruins on our planet as well.
Yes. And I should definitely go check those out. Okay. So, it's time to suit up. Okay. Come on, let me walk down this tree. Fall off. that's a sight. Hey there. What do you mean still? A dark bramble seed?
Right, a reminder of our scout launcher. The little scout is yet another remote sensing device.
Yeah, so it appears that our friend is inside the seed.
What are we going to do about that?
Uh, oh, okay. Um, this sure is a... quite a doozy. Ah-ya! Weren't kidding about the brambles. Every little snag in this game. I'm not sure that I approve of the realistic physics as much as many people. Ooh,
I mean, it sure is a proof of concept. They did that.
they sure did. Okay, that did not work. Gotta get myself back out of this dang crater. And let me walk up the tree on the way, walk down the tree. So it should let me walk up the tree, in theory. Except that I keep getting stuck on the side here for some reason. Okay. That should do it. Oh, right. Now I have a map. I mean, not necessarily a very useful map because I do not actually know the geology of my world, but, geography, I mean. Hey, look, trees on the surface rather than in a crater. That looks like fun. Is there somebody here? Nice little camp. Unidentified signal nearby. Oh. That's not what I meant to do. Almost. Come on. Forgot I had a hand scout. I would have used that back there. Oh, a recording. So this is another hint at that sort of scientific mindset that they're in. They're trying to map their solar system, get a hang on space flight, understand their own world, understand the Nomai. Like, there's a lot going on here.
Mm-hmm.
The quantum moon. So this is, you know, akin to the pale blue dot, right? The
Yeah.
first views of. Okay, so there's something that comes up in one photo, not the others. There's that interloper, I assume. Maybe that's what they're talking about. But no, there it is again, so maybe not. Hello! I guess that's what our spacesuits look like. There's not much to do in here. I don't know why I can't identify that signal. So, okay. We've got Giants Deep, the twins. Oh no, this is the twins. That's the Bramble. That's Timberhearth, I assume. What's that? I haven't quite memorized the solar system yet. This is a nice having them all in plane.
Yeah. So there's the Ash twins closest to the star.
Right here.
Then us,
Then
Timberhearth,
which is this one.
Giants Deep,
Way out here.
Dark
Brambles, this thing.
I forget the order. And then Brittle Hollow.
Brittle Hollow must be these ones. So yeah, I'm not sure what is showing up in one picture and not the others. They all look like they have all of the things to me. Oh, wait. What is... something going into the sun, or eclipsing the sun, obviously, but... maybe that? Maybe that's what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nothing particular. Just a little storage shelf. So why? I don't know why that signal is not being identified, but it's clearly coming from this dish. Okay, so a lot on this planet. I don't really know where I'm going. I'm trying to find the Nomai ruins. Another stand of trees. It's nice that our whole planet is green. Don't know why we live in the crater then. Uh-oh. Colors are changing. Is that just sunset? Or is that something worse? It's looking pretty different. So here we are at the south pole of the planet. I'm kind of intrigued by this. There's a crater
In the geyser.
Ack. Vitals critical. Oops. That's an interesting sound. The quiet shade. It's always dark across old bark in the ancient glade. This looks an awful lot like that quantum stone that we were looking
Mm-hmm.
at before. So if we look elsewhere, will it be gone? Oh, now it's a tree. I have to admit I didn't expect the tree. How do I identify a signal? I mean, I can... That's not what I wanted. Oh well. I did not get the correct thrusters, apparently. I was trying.
That was a nice thought.
But okay, so now shoot a scout into the bramble from my handheld scout launcher, which I did not realize before. And maybe I can actually find the Nomai ruins because they're north of the main settlement, if I remember rightly. Someday I will explore the other parts of this solar system, but there's just so much right here.
Right. There are parts of your own tiny planet that still feel remote and difficult.
Yes. Take the suit with me so that I have a map and so that I can actually, meaningfully deal with stuff. So let's get back down here and see if we can. Ooh. Ah! Okay, didn't hurt myself that time. So let's use the scout launcher rather than puncturing our suit. This thing isn't that big. How is it? Wow. What? I have a confusion. uh, hmm. I don't know. I feel like I need to send another scout in there. Oops. Would help if I actually launched it into the thing instead of next to it.
So this is something that is true to archaeology, right? Like we do use remote sensing tools in places where you might not be able to easily go without harm or expense. Um, so for instance, if we're talking about like jungle archaeology, where um, like flora is quite dense and fauna is quite dangerous, um, we would certainly use remote sensing tools like LiDAR, um, satellite data. This is like pretty normal aerial photography. Um, NASA used to have an archaeologist to link space and archaeology in the real world, Tom Seaver, who was like a major proponent of um, remote sensing tools because he did archaeology in the Peten, so like pretty remote jungle archaeology that is hard to do. Very different from my own experience, which was comparatively easy.
Yeah, and I know that there are a lot of satellite archaeology folks.
Yes,
Sarah,
even
Sarah Parchak
find sites.
and like And then all sorts of LiDAR and um, oops.
Right, especially in places with like very heavy ground cover or places where there's been like agricultural intervention. You can find the ghosts of sites, the imprints of sites that would be very difficult to find through like ground impression. Um, that would be very difficult to find on the ground if you were right there.
Right. And like even in places like the desert where everything is shifting all the time, you know,
Hmm.
and you might not be able to see something as clearly as you'd like. Okay, so
Right, it is like
where's the
a
main
major tool
code?
in archaeological research in Egypt for that reason. And, sometimes I guess you can use it by shooting a launcher into a weird, TARDIS like speed.
Come on, get me over the lip, please. Don't make me have to use the button. Fine. Um. Okay, so I was wrong about it being north. North was that crater, so it was either east or west.
So now we are conducting like a real walking survey.
We found this campsite last time. The strange unidentified signal. Just keep walking east until something happens. Something. Is this that geyser crater, though? There's so much of this planet. When we first started, I thought it was really just going to be the crater that people lived in. Okay, yeah, so this is the geyser crater, right? Or no, that's a waterfall, not a geyser. So this is yet another crater. Fascinating. But it is not the Nomai ruins, so I'm going to keep going. Oh, here we are. Here we are. So we have some Nomai ruins here. You can tell very quickly that they're Nomai because of the construction. First of all, it's not wooden. And second of all, it's got these lovely angular patterns um, that they like to use. They've got these 3 gates, which look like they are leading to a pathway down into the crater. But here's the actual ruins that we were seeing before. So this is new. It's
And,
it's spinning. It's detecting something. And it looks like their writing is on it.
right, like that's not just
That's not just decoration. That looks, well, I mean, it looks like
it's
their
hard.
writing, but it's a lot simpler than their writing. But it's interesting to speculate what it might have been. It's clearly not meant to hold things. It's doing something.
Hmm. Especially with the context of their like eye finding
Yeah.
device. Um, That also brings up ideas of like archaeoastronomy, which is related to landscape archaeology. Um, so, how are people using and imagining the landscape in which they live?
So we saw
And of
these
course,
devices in the other side as lights. So they are. It's interesting. This one is the different shape. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Please go ahead.
it's okay. And then, of course, archaeoastronomy, which is not necessarily archaeological, but can be, is how people understand celestial phenomena and like how that gets incorporated into culture. That's certainly going on here. Like whatever the eye is pretty clearly of significance
And the Nomai
to the
are,
nomai.
by their own words, not only from space but looking into space.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is interesting. So the first spiral was all on the ground and led to that central room, but this spiral was clearly elevated. And why is that? Would have led to something perhaps on top of this space. Which leads us. Ooh! Oh no. That was my fault. I just yanked a cord by accident. Now, good. We can see again? Yes? Please.
Uh, yes.
Okay. Phew. Alright. So, like, what is this place for? Because we have this double spiral construction. It's mimicked in the pattern on this floor. Clearly this space was important. Although why you would have this light in the floor is very unclear. And then the second spiral looks like it might have gone to a second story, which is now gone. Or maybe in an
Well, the top of
observation platform, or...
it's also like you look for finish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some of those walls, um, the like some of them are clearly broken, but some of
Mm-hmm.
them were quite low, but with finished tops. So those are like screen walls rather
Mm-hmm.
than
Like this.
structural, right?
Where we can see, like, that is patterned up there. The
Hmm.
upper
Yeah,
spiral.
exactly.
So it went up to some kind of platform or second room. It's hard to say. And and leading to or from this structure, we have this path into this crater that breaks off, and we can see what looks like more. Yeah, definitely more Nomai ruins. Just look at this. Look at this construction. It's clearly the same stone. Um, did it break off from up there, or we have we lost some kind of bridge? Well, clearly we've lost some kind of bridge, but like, did it fall? Um, was there a path here? Was this an
Right.
aqueduct? Given all the water around. Oops.
I mean, we could pretty like there's the ball,
Ow.
right? Oop, don't that wasn't that wasn't a direction.
So
Falling like the bridge fell.
this is interesting. This is the first time we've seen representational art on something that looks Nomai. So there's something of a question here of not just what was this, but also because it you can see either end is finished in a different in like a more metallic thing. So it might have slotted into somewhere or been on a stand. Um,
Hmm.
and like you can see that this geometric pattern at the bottom is carved because where it's broken you can see chips in the finish. So so this is not just a part of the bridge, it's depicting it's some kind of sign or art piece. It's clearly depicting trees and what look like figures. I don't think I can zoom my camera in, which is a shame because I would love to. So those could be Nomai figures. It's a little bit too small and too faded to tell. Let me see if I can. And of course this very clearly Nomai structure with its angular patterns and clearly non-wooden construction. Um, it is kind of fascinating that they have. It does not look uh, like this was painted by Harthians, right?
No,
Uh,
I don't. We don't have any Harthian paintings. We
right,
have
but all of their
like
stuff has been very imprecise, I guess. Like they don't have an
yeah, it's
aesthetic
like
of clean lines.
yeah, they're. I mean, it's interesting because like their material culture is either this like frankly camp, like literal
Mm-hmm.
like tent camp aesthetic,
Yeah.
or like like a sort of retro mid-century vibe, which like of course is intentional because we're talking about early days of space exploration.
So what's interesting to me here is these two figures, and I wish I could zoom in on them because I they don't look to me like I imagined a Nomai to look based on the sculpture and the skeleton. Um,
Yeah,
they look much more like
so
Harthians, humanoid.
well, do they? I mean, they're the silhouette of their heads is not like the Harthians.
It looks like
And I would
somebody
say
wearing a
like
suit. Is what
it
it
looks
looks
like
like to
somebody
me.
wearing a suit. Yes. Um, we've seen very few personal effects of the Nomai, but we have seen one.
What do you mean when you say personal effects here?
Like a cost well, we've seen the rep the sculptural representation
Right.
of the Nomai and it
It
was
had
wearing
had
ornament,
jewelry on it.
right? But we've also seen other what might be classed as costume.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do the Nomai represent a face?
They tend to represent the eyes, right? Like they have that
Yes.
the
So
mask. So this doesn't look like that. Doesn't
so
have
they
that
well,
tripartite structure.
I don't know that I mean it is like pretty
It's very small. It's hard to tell.
it's very small. Um but so that we know that the Nomai make masks,
Yes.
because that's what we see when we die. Do the Nomai wear masks?
Who knows? Not I.
Who knows? Not yet.
Okay. So I did want to go look at that, I just didn't intend to fall on it. But now let's go look at the other part of this structure. And here is something that I would not recommend in the real world, but is probably fine here. I'm gonna try and land on this center part. Now, in the real world, if a structure looks this broken, don't stand on it.
Don't go on it.
Don't stand on it. It's not a good idea. What I'm really interested in is this this support piece. Oh my goodness, we are nearing supernova. Look at that red
Oh
sun.
yeah.
Wow. I'm not gonna get much further with this today. but this bridge really was to here, so I wonder if this was an aqueduct. Oh, there's that music you were talking about.
Yeah. Or what? Like, is there something behind the waterfall?
It does appear.
There we go.
What in the world is down here? We've got even more Nomai structures. Water flowing upwards. We do have tons of geysers, but this platform is so intact, I wonder if there are gravity stones down there. I want to look, but I don't want to fall. I might just go down there. Look at this!
I mean, the
There's
solar
writing.
system is about to end anyway.
Let's translate some writing. Mining site to be. They were mining something here. Oh, this is one of those intention stones. Can actually open this Nomai door? That does not happen. So I guess we're gonna have to come back here again because the world just ended.
Yeah.
Or did it? Oh. Ended.
Just dark.
There goes. So we found these Nomai ruins are not just, you know, a surface location, but also an entire subterranean mining operation with some kind of water production, perhaps.
Yeah, and it does. Even on the Idle Rock, they went down.
Yeah,
They go in.
They always go down, which is so interesting.
They like burn.
So whatever they came here for, because we do have indications that they came here from somewhere else. That they crashed here. They saw it as a good reason. They saw it as a good idea to mine for something. All right. Buckle up. Headed back to the Nomai ruins. Okay. There we go. Not bad, as landings go. I'm getting vaguely better at this.
You're still alive. Nothing seems that broken.
Okay. So, to get back across that bridge. it untranslates itself. That's interesting. I wasn't sure if it would.
Hmm.
Okay, so that door mechanism is fascinating. I mean, the quantum stones are really cool, and it seems to be how they operate their technology. We've seen it now do two fairly different things, right? We saw
Mm-hmm.
in the observatory on Adelrock. That was how you change what you set it to monitor, and here it's how you open a simple door. But the door itself is in pieces. A very interesting decision. Okay, now we're back in the dark in the mine. We've got that lifter signal that we are used to using with our spaceship.
What was on the ground?
Um, it looked like leaves, but it couldn't have
Um, I was getting more of a remains vibe.
been. Yes, I would like to go back up there, see how that works. Oh, so this signal is not actually easy for us to access. We can't get in to just let it port us around, which is unfortunate. Oh, these are clearly mining tunnels, right? Yeah. Gravity down here is lighter, for sure. But they've taken just a straight borehole into the rock. That is not normal for mining. So what is it that they were taking from here? Straight borehole with a flat back. This looks a little bit more organic. So here's the signal. Or I don't know what to call it. So where are we going? Oh! Well, these appear to actually be some kind of container, maybe. Although they have a spout, which is somewhat interesting. Um, oh, here's some open ones. And they are just taking the rock that is here. There's nothing visibly unusual. Oh. And here we have those, some more of those remains you were mentioning. So,
Mm-hmm. And they are indeed.
so we have a set of Nomai remains in the museum. We've seen them before. Um, they appeared to have much longer torso or spine, and they did not have what appear here to be legs. It's a little bit hard to tell. Now, I know that when you are working with um, the remains of let's call it sapient beings, you have to be very careful. Um, mean, the remains of a person are so much more meaningful in so many ways than, you know, in a psychological, spiritual way, not in a scientific way. Um, so we are leaving all of these remains in situ, which is, you know,
Right.
a perfectly reasonable
But
thing for us to
also,
do. But yeah,
it's important to note, I think, that that it's not giving the impression of mortuary ritual. This
no,
individual,
died
Nomai,
where they were.
was not buried. So we're thinking like seems like a disaster related death, I think would be a good um
Yeah,
hypothesis.
yeah, something not dissimilar to the suddenness of the deaths at Pompeii and Herculaneum. Um,
Right.
because if somebody dies, there is, I can't think of a single culture on Earth that doesn't have some sort of ritual about at least giving them some sort of peace. Um,
Right.
it isn't always burial or whatever, but there are mortuary practices all over the earth in all times. And more than that, if this were an active mining facility, a body would just be in the way. Like even if you think they're sufficiently alien to just be like, "Oh, Fred died today. Oops." You know,
Right, like I'm just gonna leave him there.
like it would be in the way. So this is very unlikely to have been a natural death or even a death that other people survived. This is something bad happened here.
Hmm.
So there's some kind
And
of
certainly
project on the
biological.
ash twin.
Right. But that requires ore. Oino and cycad.
We haven't seen those names before, but those are very Greek.
There's also Felix and cassava. They have plant names in contrast to our
Feldspar and
Parthian,
Tektite.
our our rock names.
Uh-huh. So the material for the towers is all is all local to the ash twin. Or is crafting an immensely thick protective shell that will seal off the chamber inside. That's kind of fascinating, and that does explain why they're just taking rock. Know my puns. Humor is famously very difficult to translate, wordplay especially, because it relies so much on features of language that don't necessarily work from one language to the next. Like, we even have trouble sometimes with Shakespearean puns because pronunciation of words has changed over time.
Yeah, OP. Um, I wonder like what our little translator device is doing with accordingly.
Yeah, like how do you what was it the first time and how like this is one of those things where you need a human to translate. This is why AI isn't actually very good at stuff like that. Like yes, you can have a dictionary definition, but people don't speak like that. People make
Hmm.
puns, people have wordplay and idioms. There are things that don't translate directly, and you need to decide how you're going to translate something.
Clan.
Hmm.
So that is also something that we learned last time too, right? Like there are multiple groups of nomai, um, like clan groups.
Mm-hmm.
So they come as a people, for lack of a better word, but they are also like subdivided further, and they're doing projects,
Wow.
seemingly in cooperation.
Look at this table. This is gorgeous. Like all of the color is still there. I mean, we don't know how much of it is faded to be these colors,
Hmm.
but the pigment or or stone composition or whatever is still there. It seems completely intact. Whatever happened here happened very suddenly.
Yeah, the we haven't yet. I mean, we have an understanding that the nomai are ancient in game, but we don't really get a sense of how ancient, like what temporal scale are we talking about here? And that's difficult to translate anyway, because like, man, are we zinging around our star? Um,
Right. Oh,
so
check.
like,
This looks like it's meant to be seating. What an interesting
yeah,
form factor for a chair.
well, their bodies are different.
Uh huh.
Form follows function.
I wish we could put hands on this pottery and see if it opens. Here appear to be some devices. Ash twin projection stone. Interesting. Uh, Another poor deceased nomai. Here we can see even more of their body structure. So they are sitting on the chair in a forward facing manner, like we might. They're not, for instance, using those holes. But their backbone, their tailbone comes a bit further, although not. There's no continued spine down into a long tail.
Mm-mm.
But clearly they were holding this bowl, or had just put it down, and they were bent over it. My guess, and this is pure speculation, my guess would be that we could infer from this that they were eating from the bowl when whatever happened
Hmm.
happened. And that's why it's broken. So they dropped it. We have some things here that are glowing, but they don't do anything by themselves. Another poor person over here with another bowl, sitting by a light source. We've seen those triangular and quadrilateral light sources. This looks very much like. It looks like the walls they use for their writing, but it also looks very much like you could perhaps project something onto it.
Hmm.
And it's got
Maybe
that
you need a projection stone.
metal finish that the sign had, the painting had. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's pick up that projection stone. What happens if I put it here? Whoa!
Mm.
Whoa! So these are visions of Nomai masks, some of them dark, some of them bright. I wonder if some of them are still alive. That would be very weird. But they might be in stasis or something. We don't know what their tech is. So they have some amount of VR technology, essentially. What does it do if we put it here? It does, in fact, give us writing about the subject. Okay, so they were about finished with their mining project when things were done. I don't know how you check the interior of a fully sealed off stone.
Or whatever side you're not on.
Okay. So, I wonder if instead what we were seeing here was people who are involved. Two voices in that? Okay, so maybe not. Interesting. Really nothing I can do. Look at them. I wonder why. Wonder what it's for. We've read this conversation, so what else have we got? Down. There's a down. Oh, this is where I was trying to get before, apparently. Excellent. So we know a lot more about this Ash Twin project than we did. We've figured out why they're boring holes in the rock. That's the way I came in. I want to know if this will take me up higher. No, this is the exit point for that. So I think we may have found what there is to find down here, but let's... Okay, part of what's going on here is we are in water. Ooh, hello. That's a lot higher than I meant to go, but oof. Well, here you are. The initial remains we were overlooking. So there's that. Do you think there's much more to find in here? Have I missed something important?
I think we can leave it for now.
So, one thing that I did want to do is I wanted to see... Oh! Wow! There's writing down here. Whoa! Okay. There we go. No! 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 Down. I want down. Stop floating. Let me read this writing. After closer observation, mining site 2A wouldn't be safe for the native life dwelling in some of this cave's pools, so unfortunately we'll have to mine one of the other sites. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of stuttering in the game. There we go. Ooh, don't move so far. On the opposite hand, new life. This species is semi-aquatic and very hardy. The ecosystem here is quite robust. I think they'll thrive in the long run. Be cautious near the pools if you visit 2A to meet them. So I believe that they are talking about us.
They are indeed talking about us. So we finally get like a sense of scale,
Whee!
temporal scale.
That was not something I intended to do.
Uh-oh.
Welp. Alas. So I'm gonna try one more time to get this writing in the bottom of the geyser, and then I think that's probably a good place to stop for the day.
Yeah.
Hi, Fub
Probably a good place to stop.
Archaeologist. Sorry I didn't see you until just now. Got a little caught up in my
exploration.
Oh, that's not what I want at all.
So when the Nomai were alive and pursuing their projects in the solar system, Carthians were like non-sentient?
Non-sentient, but evolved enough that... And, like, Harthians are not aquatic now. So, like, they could tell that we might evolve into something that would become sentient.
Right, we were semi-aquatic. And we do indeed, if you look at us, have a semi-aquatic kind of vibe.
Yeah.
An amphibious.
Trees. Okay.
I wonder too if like the path of water has changed on Timber Hearth. Like, was there a waterfall separating the mine when the mine was first built?
Yeah, it is definitely curious.
It seems unlikely that they're leaving messages at the bottom of pools.
Right. Although it was a little difficult to tell whether that had sort of fallen off something.
Mm. But it's like it does not seem like they were trying to hide the mine. They put
No,
these
not at all.
big gates.
You're kidding me. Why weren't the retro jets enough? Oh, I know why. It's because I pressed the wrong button. That's why. Every time I think I'm getting the hang of it, I'm like, nope, pressing the complete wrong button. Hi, Lunar Waffles. Thanks for joining us. We are still exploring the Nomai ruins on Timber Hearth. But I think we're almost done. How are you doing? Definitely not a good place to land if you actually want to preserve those Nomai ruins, but I don't think we can damage them.
Imagine just like launching a spacecraft at like I don't know, a Roman arch.
Oh my god. I would die. I mean, I do keep dying. So
Yeah. What are we doing down there? Oh yes, so Lunar Waffle set straight into the the archaeology aspect. Yeah, that is what we're doing here. We've been talking about how we're engaging in archaeological survey in the Outer Wilds. We've determined that obviously we're not doing excavation. How much of this is scientific? It does seem like there is an intent here. From an archaeological perspective, I would say that this is non-intrusive, although I do think we did just take that projection stone, so a little intrusive. Um, Extensive, since we're going to go to the whole solar system. Um, and lightly purposive, we have a purpose here, which is to learn more about the Nomai. We've been talking about remote sensing technologies and talking about what exists in the real world versus what we can use in game. Archaeoastronomy, landscape archaeology. We didn't mention it yet, but Julie, there's like a little bit of cognitive archaeology going on here too. So like thinking about the way that different cultures um, think at all. Um,
yeah, trying to figure out what their social structure is like, what they're doing here. I mean, that's a big
their
part of our.
symbolic structures.
Okay, so there we got the first one. This is very difficult to do, especially because it does keep sort of shorting out.
Which is probably closer to real
Yeah.
archaeology.
Yes, you so rarely have the tools you actually would love to have, whether they exist or not. There's never enough time, there's never enough people, there's never enough internet.
Mhm.
So often,
Often, though not
archaeological
always.
digs are in places that it's hard to, it's hard to remind me of subterranean species that my mentor once told me about from when our clan used to travel across this universe. Madam, she would have enjoyed them greatly. On the other hand, new life. The species is semi-aquatic, very hardy. Oh. I was watching them once during a rest, and the hours escape from me. They are fascinating. I wonder what their fourth eye does. Yeah, so that I think is pretty interesting as a concept. So the Nomai have three eyes, and the Harthians have four, but like, does that imply that the Nomai use their eyes for different things? Right? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
mystery puzzle games for sure. It is my favorite genre of games. Ah, no, 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 no. No, I don't want this. I do not want this. Better not kill me again. Okay, success. I want to read the rest of this darn thing.
I admire your
How many
persistence.
how many deaths will it take me to read this piece of Nomai literature? And by literature, I mean conversation, because all we have is conversations. We do not have any literature. So we have a few other cave sites that look promising. What about 2B? So 2B is where we are, right? Oh, stop it!
Well,
Stop it!
where we were. Oh,
We're so high up that we're basically in orbit.
yeah. The seismic activity is inaccurate. Um, Although there are certainly many other
I just got geysered into the
celestial
side of
bodies.
the mountain.
Okay. Are you feeling okay with how much you read?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Uh, People have compared the normal tech, the Know My text to Reddit because it's just conversations and posts. I don't think it's quite as mm, call it diverse as Reddit. So it's a lot more like a
Yeah,
specifically
they're
targeted chat
logs.
board.
It is interesting to think about it, and you know, you and I discussed that we would maybe talk about this more as we played next week. If anyone currently here is interested in that, we are playing the Outer Wilds with an eye towards archaeology and ancient history. This week we were talking about archaeological inquiry broadly. Next week, I think we're going to talk about ancient writing specifically and how people, specialists in the real world, think about ancient writing and how we might apply that to the game, especially with its very unique writing system. So, thinking about what we would call epigraphy and paleography. Where are you going?
Hopefully towards the Nome ruins. I landed a little sooner than I meant to. But I figured easier to just now that I'm out of the crater, easier to just there we are. Okay. So what if I just go in from
So,
the
for
top
anyone,
this time? Sorry, you were saying?
for everyone watching, we are playing the Outer Wilds. Um, and specifically the Archaeologist Edition, which is the base game, and the expansion pack, Echoes of the Eye. We've been talking about what the marketing team meant by archaeologist, and again, how that um, aligns with archaeological work in the real world. We are exploring various planets in a fairly small solar system. Currently, we are on our home planet, although going to less occupied regions,
Damn it.
or occupied in the present.
I will find out what is down here. So there's the central thing again. I think it was this branch. Site 2B is safe. We will continue our activity there.
Not apparently not safe.
Yes, since they all ended up passing away. Okay, this is the other thing I wanted to see. Oh, now we can see those figures much closer up. They
Are masked.
They are definitely masked, and now I can see the little eye holes. So these are Know My figures. They're wearing, like, it's hard to say how much of what they're wearing is clothing versus jewelry versus suit. But those tanks on their back make me think that these are in fact meant to be spacesuits. So I wonder if we are not seeing any of the actual nomai, and those are, white shoes and colored spacesuits with tough patches over the elbows and joints. So
Yeah,
they
I think it's safe to say that they are fully garbed. I don't know that we have enough information right now to say that those are spacesuits versus just like, m- modest dress.
I guess what I'm reading there is the what appears to be some kind of inorganic material on their back that looks like they could be tanks. There's clearly a tube going from that to the mouth of the mask. So it looks like a breathing apparatus. It could be something else. We don't have enough evidence to be sure. But look how they depict us. Like these
Well, yeah,
little blobs with
we're
four
little
eyes. So
we're
that's how long
polywogs.
ago they were here, is when our species, which is now fully upright and humanoid, were basically little amphibious critters. Probably from the depiction, probably looked kind of lizardy.
Yeah. So right, we're space salamanders. Um,
Woohoo!
yeah, and so like this is something that you can do with xenoarchaeology, space archaeology that you couldn't do in the real world. Um, we don't have any counterpart to that really.
So I feel like we have now fully explored that particular section. I finally got all of the writing that was there. I did see a little bit more ruin of that. So let's see if I can not not so much ruin as ghost matter.
Oh no,
What?
get away from the ghost matter.
What? Oh. Well, that is a very excellently timed discovery. I'm glad I went over there. As they've described ghost matter to us before in this game, um, as deadly and vanishing and not particularly visible. So I guess that's what happened. We ran into some ghost matter. Um,
Hmm.
well, I think we have pretty well explored Timberhearth, at least everything I know about for now. Um, what a wild ride it has been thus far. um, everything I discover is absolutely fascinating and raises about 15 more questions. So I suppose it is in that way similar to archaeology, if
Yeah, the game is working.
a little bit stranger than archaeology on Earth tends to be.
A little bit stranger, but thankfully, because it is a game, a little bit more linear, at least.
Yes, we have sites that actually tell us to go to other sites and where they are, very conveniently laid out for us to find. Um, we can ask a lot of questions that might not be answerable, but they won't be relevant to the plot.
Yeah,
Um,
we're interested in things that the developers maybe weren't. Um,
yeah. I don't think the developers were particularly uh, I mean, I guess I don't know, but I don't imagine they were particularly interested in. So, like, what kind of textiles do they have in this culture, and how do they integrate their geometric patterns into it? But we'll find out. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, there's
Maybe it
an
becomes
art
important.
director. There are designers. There are certainly influences, and of course, style is a marker of culture. Maybe we can talk about that 2 weeks hence. Um,
Well, 2 weeks hence, I actually will not be available, and I'm going
okay.
to take a break for July. But assuming that we do not, in fact, make leaps and bounds of progress next week alone, which I'm guessing we won't given how I'm going, I
Yeah, I
believe we
think
will
well,
resume Outer Wilds in August for the first few Saturdays in August. Is that good with you, Kiernan?
that's good with me. And I think whenever we get to the interloper is when we should talk about style.
Uh, going to the summer cabin for some time at the lake. No, I wish. Um, Actually, relevant to Sasa, I am in charge of assembling our virtual conference, which will be taking place on July 20th and 21st, which means that the month of July is just completely blocked off right now. I don't know that I'll have time for anything. But there will be Archeo Gaming live events. I know that Madigan is planning to stream some Ghost of Tsushima. So keep your eyes peeled for more on this channel. And I will be here. We will be here next week. Maybe we'll talk some people into breaking open a bramble seed to find out what the world inside is like. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next
Yep.
week.